Hey everyone, I'm back on my night walk. I've been walking for 3 days now in YouTube time. This is just the third video I'm making on this walk because I want to milk this opportunity to be consistent on YouTube, right? But in this video, I'm going to talk about the lessons I learned from my first business. I'm not going to talk about what kind of business it was, and I'm not going to go into details. If you look around the internet, maybe you'll find it. I'll just talk about the lessons, alright? Lesson number 1. I did not pay myself an income for a really, really long time in the business. I pretty much never, I didn't pay myself a single cent for a really long time in that company because I wanted to reinvest every single dollar of revenue back into the company. In hindsight, that was a mistake. And I believe that as an entrepreneur, you have to pay yourself. If you cannot pay yourself as an entrepreneur in the business that you're running, you probably, in most cases, you shouldn't be hiring somebody else until you can pay yourself. Or you get yourself a different job, to pay the bills while maybe you hire somebody if they're really essential to the business. In that case, which probably you're in the wrong business. Like why would you start a company where you have to hire somebody to even keep things moving, and that person is more valuable to the company than you are? Like, it's kind of weird for you to start a business like that. Anyway, there might be some cases where that might apply. In general, at least in my case, I should have paid myself a real income from the revenue that I was generating. And the reason is this. When you're not paying yourself, then the kind of pressure it puts you psychologically as the leader, for a while you can take it. But I believe in hindsight, at that time I didn't realize it that I was doing something wrong, but hindsight is 2020, right? At that time I was doing okay. I wasn't like freaking out or anything. But in hindsight, the pressure it puts on you psychologically and the way it affects your decision making, I don't think that was healthy. And I think I would have made much better decisions. And of course, making decisions is your job as an entrepreneur. That's literally what you get paid for. And so if you're not in a place where you can do your job coolly and calmly, then you're basically doing yourself a disservice, right? You're stealing from the company without taking a single cent. Like, you're stealing from yourself and from your company, and it's like the worst of both scenarios if you can't make good decisions. And some people can go 2 years without an income. I'm one of those people who can go a really long time and just scrape by and I'm just built like that, right? But I've learned to discipline myself and actually draw an income from the company, and that's what I'm doing right now. Where I wouldn't be living in Tokyo even though I pay myself really modestly, just cover my expenses and stuff. But I strongly believe in paying yourself expenses, your living expenses, whatever. Just a basic salary. Never overpay yourself as a leader. Unless you're already winning as a company and you're, like some of these big time CEOs who can actually pay themselves to drive a really nice car and buy a house and stuff like that. But even at the early stage, you should pay yourself a little bit. And then, once you're secure as an entrepreneur, you're making better decisions. You're thinking more long term instead of, just like running around like a headless chicken, making decisions that are short term just so you can get more cash somehow. Because even though the company has cash, you don't have cash, and that personal and professional boundary between the bank account of the company and the bank account of the entrepreneur, that subconsciously becomes blurred. So you're making, even though the company is not running out of cash, you're making decisions with the emotional context of, I don't have money coming in. And so you're ruining a business that is making money by making short-term decisions, right? Does that make sense? And I realized that whatever, right? We're done with that point. Number one, I don't want to talk about it anymore. The second point is the people you hire, right? If I could go back, by the way, all the people I hired were really nice, good people. I still in very good, I think I've talked about this in a previous video, but I still have very good relations with all of them. I respect all of them. Great folks all around, right? That being said, I was hiring people based on potential. Like, I was hiring people from a scarcity mindset. I was like thinking, hey, let me just find somebody who is, for lack of a better word, affordable, and I can train them. Basically the whole point was, I thought that I could just find talented people, like smart people, who weren't living up to their potential, and maybe who didn't have the right skills, because you can always teach the right skills, right? So I thought I could hire them and then train them my way, and they could be superstars, right? And I thought that a big part of being a good leader is to be able to train people. But there's nothing wrong with that philosophy, right? You want to be able to teach and train your folks. Now, as an early stage entrepreneur, that is like picking up a bottle of poison and draining it down your throat. If you, as an entrepreneur, are hiring people with the intent to train them, you're doing something really stupid without even realizing it, right? And Peter Drucker says that in his book, like, you want to hire people based on strengths, and you want to train people to become better. Like, training should be to practice and polish and sharpen skills that people already have, that they're already really good at. So if somebody is a good copywriter, you want to train them to become an even more amazing copywriter, make them even better, right? But if it's like, oh, this person has some faint talent of copywriting, and I think I can test them out and make them a copywriter. I can teach them the basics of copywriting. If you're educating people from scratch just because you see that they have the markings of being great in the role that you are hiring for, based on whatever criteria you set, like, oh, this person has this personality type or whatever, so I think and this person talks like this, so I think they could be great at this role, in a sales role or whatever role. And if you make decisions based on that criteria, I've kind of reached my destination, but I'm gonna hang out and talk a little more. If you're making decisions based on that criteria on hiring, you're literally training people from scratch, almost. That is a terrible, terrible use of your time and money. And what happened was it ended up like I was managing people all the time, training them, guiding them, burning all that energy and being frustrated with why I wasn't getting results quickly enough. And even though I'm a really patient person in general, I was just burning the candle on every end possible, like not just the two ends. I was burning the candle on sideways, backwards, the back end, the front end, the side end, all around the candle. It was just burning, burning, burning. And there was a point along that journey in the first year and a half of entrepreneurship, where I think I clearly remember it was 4 a.m. in the morning, and I was just sitting paralyzed in my bed and watching anime, and just like watching anime like a zombie, like I'm like not even alive. And that's how burned out and like just demotivated I was, where I was like a drug addict watching anime at 4 a.m. or whatever, 5 a.m. And I hated my business, even though of course I loved it, but I hated it at that point. I was just dead, I was just done. I was subconsciously checked out. I still had goals every morning. I still had to-do lists and everything. I was going through the motions, but I was really dead. There was just no energy. I was running on an empty tank. And very soon after that, I decided that, it's kind of over. I think I had one more spark where I was like, okay, I just clapped my face and I was like, oh, what the fuck are you doing, Aman? Like, just get back up, go, 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 go. Change things. He's not done yet. Like, I think I had one or two more explosions like that afterwards, but I think very soon it was like the marking was written on the wall where that the business as it stood at that point was not working out, and I really needed to make a big change somehow. So those are two big lessons. Then the third lesson I learned was that marketing has to be consistent, and if you dig a well, you want to keep digging, draw every single drop of water from that well before you go out and dig other wells, right? If you're digging a well and there's water, you need to keep digging that well down to the core of the earth as long as there is still water to be found, right? And only when you've flooded your tanker with all the water from that well, with all the leads, the revenue, whatever, from that channel, should you ever think about, no matter if it might be the worst well it might be the worst location in hindsight, or if you were all knowing, omniscient, and you could see all the wells that you could possibly dig, and that one well which you're digging might be suboptimal. Like let's say you decide that blogging is the way that you're going to get revenue. Like you got your first few leads from blogging, let's say. And let's say blogging is a time-consuming, painful way to get leads, let's say, right? So after a couple of blog posts, you're like, you made a little money, but you're like, you know what? I'm just going to like try this social media thing. I'm going to try this podcasting thing. I'm going to try like some bullshit, whatever fucking thing that you think is a better channel for making money, for getting leads. And you desert the very first well that you started digging, right? I did that. That happened to me exactly the same way I'm describing it, where I started getting leads and revenue, really good revenue from blog. I'm a writer, right? But I deserted that channel thinking that, oh, there might be a better channel elsewhere that I'm underexploring. And I think I'm pretty loud. Okay. And it really hurt my business, So that's why I'm saying, if you find a channel that works, even if it's suboptimal, squeeze that suboptimal channel to death. Squeeze every last drop from that channel before you move on to a different channel to gain customers or users, leads, whatever. Stay focused on that channel. Again, that's where patience and paying yourself an income, paying yourself a salary comes into play. And hiring people who can keep growing that channel with you. Like don't stray the boat. Don't keep abandoning the route you are on for other, detours or like shortcuts, right? Play the long game. Like the other channels aren't going anywhere, right? Yeah, you might feel like, oh, I wish it all the time. I think that's still better than deserting a channel that you have that works for other channels that you are not yet an expert in, that you haven't proven yet. So yeah, until I think maybe 80-20, like 80% of energy into the channel that's working, no matter how poorly it's working for you. If you're making money and breaking even and making profits from a channel, keep pushing. And maybe 20% of your energy, if you once you've had the luxury and once you've automated a lot of things, then you go out and explore. Like, hey, let's try paid ads. Let's try this. Let's try that. That's that's those are my 3 lessons from. I mean, there's many more lessons about like nitty-gritty things, but these are the 3 big lessons that I learned in my first business. I hope it helps. It's actually a good reminder to refresh this in my memory because I am making decisions in my current business, and having this reflection today helped me to double down on certain things that I was thinking about in my current business. So it's a good reminder to me as well. I hope this was helpful to you if you're real, if you're not my future self. And okay, that's the video.